Hello everyone. As most of you know that come to this channel, my name is Sharon Dvorak, and it has been over 4 months since I last posted a video here, and that last video was explaining why I hadn't been posting anything, and I said that I had some issues that I personally had to process before I did any more videos. Unfortunately, I'm still reacting, I am still processing, and I have attempted to do this particular video so many times, and I have to be very honest in what I am presenting, and it requires a lot of vulnerability, and I am terrified to do this. However, what I have learned in working with Mariah and Peter through the years, and I have been a channel for these beings for over 40 years now. And I have applied to my own healing process, my own transformations of fear, what I have learned from them and given tools in order to go through things that trigger us, that are difficult for us to process, and are difficult for us to speak about. In this video, I am going to address something in this country that has me so reactive, so triggered, and I can no longer be silent. One of the main shadows that I have been working to transform in my life has been the perception that I am to be silenced and not speak of certain things that occur in my own life, and so unfortunately in the lives of so many others. So I am being extremely vulnerable, honest, and as authentic as I can. And the reason I have decided to go ahead with this is because without speaking about it, I feel so hypocritical. I am very blessed and fortunate to be the channel, to be the vessel, as they call me. That information comes through me to assist everyone to heal. It requires you to do the work. It requires you to look at areas of your own self, your own thoughts, beliefs, and so forth, that are so difficult for us to own, because it is often wrapped in shame, blame, or regret. I don't know if you can tell, but from my breathing I am petrified. And yet, I cannot worry about what anyone will think of me, whether anyone agrees with me or not, for everything that I'm going to speak about. I'm going to share with you some photos. I don't know how well they'll show up here to be able to be seen, because I am going to share them from my phone. And there is no other way that I am aware of for me to share them. So I'm going to share with you first a picture of me that is before humans created great harm with me. And in this photo, I believe I am 4 years old. And this is me before a man decided my body belonged to him, and my sexual abuse as a child began. At 5 years old, this man decided my 5-year-old body was his to do with whatever he chose and wanted to do. This look of innocence, this look of childhood joy and wonder would disappear on the day that my body was first taken by the actions and choices of another. This photo is a few years later, after the abuse had been going on for a while. I'm not sure of my age here, and that is one thing that I deal with. Ages, times, And a lot of information of my life has been hidden by layers and layers and layers of the most horrendous things that humans can do to a child. Unfortunately, the man that began this was never held accountable, never even charged. And through the rest of his life, he went on to harm many, many other children, very often with the knowledge of his wife, who would then go after the children rather than her own husband. And the reason that I am so hesitant to do this is because I know it opens me up to a lot of judgment and a lot of beliefs in this country that these things don't possibly happen. And I'm speaking out about it now because of the Epstein file. I do go to the page where the DOJ is listing some of the files, the unredacted ones, in which before our president is mentioned 38,000 times. And then Congress was able to look at the unreleased files yet of the 3 million plus that have been supposedly transparent and released. And in the unreleased files that we don't have access yet to, that same man is mentioned 1 million times. And that's not even saying the ones that have not yet been released and the president and others in his party think it's not necessary to be released. I cannot continue to be silent and to say that this is okay, that it's all right, and everyone who is speaking up and has spoken up since it began isn't something new that has just come out. It is something that has been going on, and the victims, the survivors of his abuse and the abuse of other rich and powerful men and some women has been sought to be pushed under the carpet. False information given, and yet you cannot tell me that with him mentioned in over 1 million points within the file so far, that there is not justification to investigate him and all the others that are spoken and said this is what they did. If you have not taken the courage to look at some of the files, then you have no right to say anything about anyone that is part of this. You do not have a right to say it never happened or it was proven he was never on the island. Do you seriously think that when rich, powerful men decide that a child's body is them to do with whatever they will, whether it is torture, murder, or take away their innocence and leave them with a lifetime of healing, I suggest you go look in the mirror and see why it is you are ready to do that. As an adult, I also experienced rape several times. And for a while, I believed I must have in my auric field big neon signs that said, here, take this person's body, rape her, do whatever you choose to do. And I am purposely using the word rape and not grape. If it's all right for men in this world to do this, then it's all right to call it what it is. As I said, this is very difficult for me to do. My abuse as a child went from 5 to 14 and a half years old. And just when I thought the nightmare had ended, it had only begun. As a child, taken to the hospital to be examined, to be proven what was done to my body. I was gifted in that moment, if you would like to call it that, with what happens when a child is taken for examination. My fear, my extreme fear of law enforcement began that day when I thought I was finally going to be recognized. And I was finally going to have adults say, you cannot do this to a child. You cannot do this to a child. No, it didn't happen. when I was taken to the hospital and placed on the bed to be examined. It was in a hospital in Baltimore, and I don't remember which hospital it was. It was in Baltimore, Maryland. I was 14 and a half years old. They had me on a bed with my feet up in stirrups, nothing covering me, and a curtain that should have kept me private in a cubicle was left open, and across from my bed were people waiting to be seen, a lot of them men, able to see my exposed body. And only one of those men said something to those that were examining me and the police officers that were there to witness to make sure I was examined thoroughly. And he spoke up and he said, "Don't you think you should close that curtain and give that little girl privacy?" And the police officer's response was, "Why? She's nothing but a whore." Things were done to me as a child that resulted in me becoming splintered and fractured. And I have fought the rest of my life to heal that fracture. And then to see things like the Epstein files being released in the ability so far that they have been. And that ability is not a correct word for what I mean, and I don't care. All the excuses, all the protection, only for the perpetrators, not for the children. In the files released, what's redacted are the criminals. What's redacted are the powerful men, from the Supreme Court all the way down, so that almost every single person in the cabinet that surrounds our president now are in the files. Let that sink in. Do you really think any of this has ended with Epstein's supposed death? Those of us who survive the horrors of what men do to children don't get to go on with our lives so easily. I am 74 years old now, and there is not 1 year that has not been spent in healing the damages of what was created upon me. My trust was shattered. I don't trust men, period. As an adult, not only was I raped several times, I also experienced once after a surgery to remove all of my female organs. My womb removed. And the surgeons who removed it sitting by my bedside afterwards, begging me to tell him who did it to me, because my womb was full of cigarette burns. And at first I found it hard to believe that my womb would show those marks that I, of course, remembered. I remember the socks shoved in my mouth while cigarettes were put out inside of my very small child's body. My ability to continue to have children was taken from me by age 26. My ovaries later followed, my cervix long removed. A lot of what was necessary to remove was because of severe endometriosis that was not limited to my female reproduction areas. It was throughout my body, and I came close to death several times. And in the very last surgery that I had was to remove the medical thermostat, the big scissors, clamps on my good ovary. Corrected, my good ovary was removed, the one that was diseased and gangrene was from the clamps left on a partial part of my ovary left there. And when the surgery was finished and I'm doing my exercise and walking down the hall, there is a man standing in a doorway of another hospital room who grabbed hold of me and thought he was going to feel up my body. Well, I wasn't a helpless child any longer. I was a fully evolved adult woman. Attending my grandmother's funeral, I sang a song that my grandmother loved very much. As we were leaving the church, the priest came up to me, grabbed hold of me, and forced his tongue down my throat. And then stands back with a smirk and says, "This is all right, isn't it?" And I told him to go fuck himself. That no, it's not all right. A woman's body, a child's body, does not belong to anyone. I will not be silenced. I will speak out as I have done most of my adult life. I once worked with a group of batterers, men who believed that they did no harm because they just loved the children. I had at that time already been working with Parents Anonymous, setting up chapters everywhere that I moved to and lived, in order to help parents heal from whatever abuse they experienced and that they were harming their children. To teach them, they above all others know what damage is done to a child, whether it is sexual, physical, or emotional abuse. The person who ran the self-help group for batterers, abusers, was not able to attend and to run the meeting, and so I was requested to go, and I really, truly thought that I had healed enough that I could do this. And after hearing man after man blame the child, she wanted it. I could tell she wanted it. She smiled at me. She danced. She showed her beautiful child's sensuality, which is very different from sexuality and absolutely does not say, "Take me, do what you will." I ended up having to close the meeting, and I let those men know exactly from the perception of one of the victims exactly how much we did not want this. I have worked most of my life to assist those who have been recipients of sexual abuse. Have I seen sometimes that it is not true when a child speaks up? Yes. The majority are telling the truth. And the ones who do it for any other reason, even if it's the coaching of the mother during horrible divorce situations and so forth, for whatever reason, sometimes it is not true. it makes it more difficult for those of us who have truly been harmed to be recognized and believed. For my life, it's not a matter of belief, because all of the hospital documents and the police reports all show it is absolutely true what was done to me. With my work with Mariah and Peter, my personal belief is that we all come into this world in order to create and to heal what is the darkness of humanity, and to remember that we do not come here to suffer. We do not come here to separate from all the love that our souls and spirit are created with. My belief is that our souls cannot be anything except absolute love. Our spirit is always connected to that love that cannot even be explained in words or language of any kind, to speak of what that love is like. I am often asked, because of the work I do I believe in God? I would not be alive still if I did not believe in God. I have learned, because of my beliefs and the work I do with spirit, the infinite beings, that sometimes we choose a role that is so very, very difficult to do in order to share with humanity. Is this who we are? Is this who we choose to be? Children are sacred. Women are sacred. Little boys are sacred. Every human being is sacred. And I have been reacting and seeking to find a balance, not only with the release of the Epstein files and how many doors that I have put behind the doors, experiences that no human should have to endure, especially as a child. And I have spent every day, every night, for the last 4.5 months, having flashbacks constantly. It makes it difficult for me to be around people who I know support this man, and any of them that have done this to children. I don't care about the politics. I care about humans. I personally believe that every single person is myself, and I am them. We are all one, created in the love of the Creator. We choose to separate from that love in order to experience outside of love. How dark can we create before humans wake up and say, this is not who we are? Since the beginning of time, children have been harmed, and it will continue until enough human beings have the courage to stand up and to say, never again, no more. No child will be destroyed. No child will be abused. And because I know from experience of other moments of my life, the comments that I will get in support of all the people involved in that sex abuse ring, what that will be said in this one video. You are able to make whatever comments you choose. However, they will go through the filter of my approval before they are posted. I will not have on my channel or anything to do with my life anyone who dares to spread lies, misinformation, the manipulation, false accusations that comes from our government, or anyone who will say they can't release the files because governments around the world will collapse. Good. Let it fall. Let the brightest of lights shine on this part of humanity, and my voice will never be silenced until my death. That this is not who I am. This is not what I will sit by and very calmly accept it and say, well, it's meant to be. It goes beyond politics. I really don't care who you voted for. I care whether or not you are willing to see truth, whether or not it fits your narrative, whether or not you have to see and acknowledge the manipulation that is going on worldwide, not only in this country. Children are not to be harmed physically, mentally, emotionally, or sexually. When I was 12, my main abuser at that time underwent a vasectomy. And the things that he did to me afterwards may take me eternity to forgive. My mother at the time forced him to have the vasectomy so he did not impregnate me. A lot of children are forced to have babies as soon as they begin their menses of their rapist. I don't know what to do with this rage that sits in me right now. I have so many tools to use to apply. And I do know from past healing moments, when it is rage, it doesn't dissipate speaking about it. It requires actions. I have always stood up when I see another marginalized or diminished or spoken of unworthy to share the same air and ground where people don't choose for them to be. If you believe for 1 minute what is happening to human beings in our country is to grab the illegals, think again. Watch something besides the propaganda approved messages being released. Look at live videos. Look up the files. These children experienced it. Do you have the courage to bear witness to what they experienced? I pray for the day that I could be among human beings and see everything that happens through the filter of unconditional love and knowledge, that in order for humans to evolve, we have to see how dark humans can be. I do not believe in any other being such as the devil, to be able to blame any experiences on. I have the gift of free will, and I am always able to choose to come from a place of love, compassion, understanding, and so forth, or to come from pure absolute darkness. Everything against love, everything chosen to destroy, diminish, manipulate, deceive, control any other human beings. I am not Mariah and Peter. I believe that this year is the manifestation of all the work people have done to heal their wounds, to release and let go what we do not choose to carry with us, and not being silenced by the fear within myself or the words and decisions of others who don't believe I have the right to speak about these things. I will not be silenced. I will not carry that forward into the coming years of whatever remains of my life. I will die on the hill of protecting other human beings, whether rounded up by ICE, murdered by ICE, imprisoned in this country for being Democrat, imprisoned for speaking against what is happening in our own country. You all have free will. I don't care if you understand and believe the way I do. You have not lived my life, and I have not lived yours. I do not know, nor at this moment do I truly care why you are experiencing the choices you do make. I only know my own self. I cannot change any other human being, nor do I desire to change any other human being. I believe in the sanctity of our sacredness, and each human expressing your free will will live according to your script. I don't believe in hell outside of the human world unless we choose to create it and continue creating our individual personal hells on the other side. I know from my own son, before his physical death, when he had the choice to die earlier or to return, and in spite of growing up with a mother who channeled non-physical beings and being raised on their teachings, he still had great fear of judgment. And afterwards, he communicated with me that everything he learned from them is true. There was no judgment waiting for him. There was pure love, a love he said he was so homesick for and wondered why he chose to come back. They showed him moments where he hurt another, sometimes through the ignorance of not realizing he was causing harm and judgment in another. They also showed him moments that he was someone else's lantern of light. He was someone else's reminder. They are sacred, and there is a place for them in this world. I'm not sure of the age of my son when one of the things he was shown, that he was an angel for someone, was shown to him. And we lived in North Carolina at the time, and at a church fair around Christmas time. I have a photograph of my young son sitting in a wagon to be hitched up to a donkey or something, right? It had hay. And my little son was sitting on some hay within this wagon and watching people that they were doing. I was across the way outside supervising a game with other children. And I glanced over to make sure that my young son, who was in kindergarten at the time, was all right. Because I know from my own experience, a lot of use of a child's body occurs in our supposed sacred leaders. So I did not ever let my children out of sight, even in a church. And I look over at my Joseph. I see him speaking to an elderly woman that came to Mass every week. And I saw she was laughing. So I knew he was okay. And I could put more focus on supervising the game the children were playing, tossing a water balloon back and forth until it would break on one of them. And of course the last one that held an unbroken balloon would receive the prize. In my son's review, when he had the choice of staying in spirit or coming back and getting back on track for what he was here to do, they showed him this moment with this elderly woman. And in the review, we also experienced how another received what we create. And so my son was able to experience the elderly woman's reception of a kindergarten child, seeing her, honoring her, bringing the gift of laughter to her. Years before her spouse had died, and she became invisible to the congregation where she had gone all of her life to. No longer invited to people's homes for dinner because she was without the spouse. She felt alone. She felt invisible. And she had chosen that morning when she got up to give the people in the church one more chance to tell her she is seen. And if she received what she had received so many months since her husband died, she had plans to end her life when she went home. And because of the love and the recognition from a kindergarten-aged child, she knew she was seen. And she continued to live her life for several years until she was called back to spirit. And I share this because that is why I do the work I do. If I am able to shine the light, to bring hope, to be even a very small example of we are not our experiences. We have the beautiful gift of free will. I could have chosen to give back to the world a smidgen of the pain I received. And instead, I chose love. I chose the desire to assist others to heal, as well as my own self. And for me, I don't believe I am finished until my last breath is exhaled. To say I don't understand why anyone would choose to harm a child, or anyone, why anyone would seek to justify, explain what is happening in our world, in our country with ICE, is beyond my comprehension. And I am grateful. I am so very grateful that that's not who I see myself as. Even though my mother knew of the abuse that was being done to me, and for her own reasons allowed it to occur, she did show me we can heal what is broken. And she and I ended our life together when it was her time to return to spirit. Nothing had been left unsaid. We both cried many tears as we sought to heal the damage that had been done by her silence. Silence is compliance. Silence against injustices, against the abuse, the diminishment of any human being, means compliance and agreement that you agree that some people deserve to be told they have no worth, no place. It is not the illegals who are being rounded up now. Are you aware how many our administration has determined their legal documents, their approved asylum, is no longer valid? Are you aware of how many human beings in this country have gone through the whole entire legal process of citizenship, and ICE has taken them out of the line of their final oath before attaining citizenship? I fully expect at some point in life, if this continues, the fact that I speak against this administration and what is being done, I could be rounded up. I don't care, so what? I have survived far worse things than that. If I see ICE pulling a child from anyone, I guarantee I'll be one arrested, because I will not stand by and watch it. And for everyone who has said to me since I moved to Florida, "Oh, you care about the immigrants? You want to take them into your home?" I absolutely would. I do not have a lot. What I have, I will gladly share with an immigrant. I will gladly share with anyone who is pursued because they do not agree with letting go of our democracy. And I will definitely not be silent when the files are being hidden still, where the one who is on it over 1,000,000 times says no more to be investigated. And so many people I know are okay with this. I will not be silent. Will I seek to still connect with some who I know their beliefs are very different from mine? Yes, I will. Because that is not all of them. That's not all of who they are. It is a role they are playing that, thank God, I am not part of in that way. I am on the other side of the perception of that action. We cannot evolve without owning the darkness human beings create with. Am I capable of causing harm to another? Absolutely. It is only because I choose not to that I do not let loose and follow what my rage screams to happen. I will still devote the rest of my life to standing up for the marginalized, for the people that are diminished, for the people that are judged as not being able to share this world because of their culture, their skin color, their beliefs, or their opinions. We all have something to teach one another and to contribute to this world, to create it, to be one based on kindness, compassion, willing to learn the beliefs of another, willing to celebrate every human being's life, and able to own what is our own truth and not abandon or betray our own beliefs out of fear of what might happen. Throughout the history of humans, we have been at this point many times. I submerged myself for years in studying the rise of the Third Reich and how could it possibly occur. And I weep so many times to see, in spite of what could be learned from it, the world is repeating it once again. And I will not be silenced. I will continue to recognize my own rage, and eventually I will find a positive use of it. Right now I have not a clue. I only know what I feel. And I know it does not match who I choose to be. I believe human beings at their core are able to be kind and non-judgmental of one another. I believe that with my whole heart and soul. I just wish that in my lifetime I will see it occur. Though to be honest, I don't have a lot of hope in it right now. I don't. I am proud of myself for doing this. And it's easy to say I don't care what others think. Obviously, I do care, or I wouldn't have been so terrified to do this. I always have been very clear. I do the work. The wisdom, the knowledge, the wisdom. And how do we remember, as capable as we are of creating outside of love, and to have that experience, to journey once again, to remember everything we create here out of love makes and ripples out, and those who choose to receive it and begin to walk with it are willing to do the work, to forgive themselves for the roles they have played that harmed, diminished, judged any other human being out of fear. If I give my last grains of rice to someone to feed them, I know rice will return to me. If I am able to embrace people in my life that I know absolutely support what is being done in this country, in this world right now, and see past what I know they use their free will for, their choices, their beliefs, the role they are playing. And I am able to embrace them fully, no pretense, and in that moment truly feel pure love for them, then I do believe eventually human beings will all be able to do that. We cannot heal what is not seen. And in a very small part of what I want to address right now is the video that was created for me without my knowledge, that took images of myself and put it into a video form through AI. We never know when we're going to get a gift to be able to see where we have shadows still existing in us, where fear has taken hold and carried us a belief. When I first looked at that video and watched it, I reacted very much. And what did I react to? I reacted to how much the radiance of the soul shone around me. Got that part of my own ego communication going. Who do you think you are? What is this portraying you as? It took me a while to realize and to understand. It was not showing the human being only. It was showing the possibilities of who we are as a soul. When we allow our soul to communicate, despite every moment of experience, we can say, well, what about this? What about that? What aboutism? I reacted strongly to the light shining in my eyes. And that was a shadow I did not think I still had. I have done so much work with the darkest of dark and been able to see, no matter how dark a being in this world or the astral planes show themselves, none of us have the ability to fully extinguish the flame of light within us, our soul, our spirit, our connection to our Creator, however you see that being or not. we are able to create the belief in ourselves that there is no such thing as love, not for us. And therefore we strike out from that. So I reacted and requested for him to edit it and remove the light from my eyes, only to find out at this time the program he used was not able to be edited in that way. There are other editing programs that could be applied, and it would require frame by frame of the video to manually remove the light and be sure to recreate my actual eyes. Peter's words that were given to me. Actually, I will read it so I don't misquote him. That is in the description of the video of my I Am Your Soul Too, right? I don't see it right now, so I'll just paraphrase it. But he asked me last, who is it that says only the fear-based beings are able to have light in their eyes? My response to him immediately was, oh, well, I've seen it. I've seen it in some of the spirits that show up. I've seen it in some of the very darkest of the dark. And he asked me and acknowledged humans have decided that. And isn't it possible that beings in other worlds, other realities, other levels of consciousness also show the light, though it is the light of the soul and the light of our spirit? And he has never ever said to me before to do something. Mariah and Peter, in years past, my own personal spirit guide, who I called grandfather, have never said, I must do. This is the first time it was not spoken to me with the understanding they strongly advise I do something. And I still have the choice of free will, whether I do it or not. And Peter said, post it as it is. And I have received other people's perception. I have indeed requested other people's perception of it in preparation for posting something I know is going to trigger some people. So I advise you, when you watch it, if you choose to watch it, pay attention to what you react to. That's a gift to see, is it really a truth, or is it a truth based on what has been decided by humans, whose whole path has been to separate yourself from being who you truly are. Absolute love and radiant light. Not able, not capable of harming self or any others. Seeing everyone as sacred beings of light and love also. It took me a while to be able to watch it and to see and remind myself. My lyrics, my poem that was used in that, was written at a time after my daughter's death. In 2012, I wrote it in 2013, at a point when I was trying to decide, because of the death of my son, the death of my daughter, was I going to continue to be a vessel, a voice for Mariah and Peter? Or was I going to call it quits? Because my children were no longer here with me. And I write to process and to work through issues that are difficult for me to work through, to get myself back to a place of awareness, of choice, of love, compassion, understanding, and no judgment. And finally, after many, many angry writings to God and anybody else who could have, should have, would have kept my children here, the words that are this song came through to remind me the human may suffer, the human may forget, but the soul is always there, just waiting to be remembered and to be invited to come through. On a very light part of what I received the gift of seeing my face much younger than it is now in some of the clips, and to be able to see the beauty of self that I did not see then, because I saw it all through the filter of all the harm that had been done to me. I saw ugliness and darkness. And so through the gift of this from Chuck, I was able to see in my youth the beauty that is there. I also sobbed at one point, fell to my knees, and went into a fetal position. For one of the parts of the video that showed pure joy on my face, and the realization, as the human being, I have not seen that look on my face since before my son's death in 2005, and especially followed up with my daughter's death in 2012. And the vow that I made to myself that no matter what it takes, no matter what I remember, no matter what I have to heal yet, I will once again, before my last breath, have joy shown purely on my face once again. And I also got to be reminded of a youthful body before the extra fluffiness was added to my more elderly body. And to see my teeth in a way they have never been, for they are not pure white like they are in that, because I have smoked most of my life. And that is a part of me that is also not going forward. And it's not easy, because so much of my pain as a child is connected to that. My grieving of my children is so much a part of that. I do not choose to carry it forward. So I enjoyed the gift of seeing what was possible for my teeth to be if I had never smoked. My first cigarette was smoked at 6 years old with the son of my first abuser. He and I both took some of his father's cigarettes, for if we smoked them, they couldn't be used against us. All of that part I have already worked with. It is the shadow of the pain of grief. And seeing the shadow of the pain of grief is still holding to the belief that I cannot survive with the grief unless I cover it up. And that's not true. We all have areas of our lives that we wish did not happen. And as much as I am feeling rage over the diminishment, the validating, and the justification, and the embracing of the deceit and the lies and manipulation being done so that those that harm the children are still never held accountable. It's not the only part of me. There is still the part of me that truly believes there is nothing we have experienced that cannot be healed. And to choose kindness when everything in your experience says that person does not deserve your kindness, your compassion, your understanding, or your love. And yet, it is possible. If I had not already shown myself through the years that that is the truth for me, I truly don't know how I would choose to continue to breathe air in this world any longer. Not to say that that is what I have planned or am truly thinking of. They were my thoughts many years past. And I will not give anyone the power to tell me who I am. Only I have that right to choose and to say who I am. Any view you or any others have of me is through the filters of your own experience, and I cannot change them, nor do I desire to change them. Out of my greatest pain came my greatest gifts, and that took me a long time to understand. And yet it is because of what was done to me that I stayed connected to Spirit. I was held in the arms of Jesus. I was held, physically perceived, held, not only in the arms of Jesus, but also my guide grandfather, who I saw as a full, real human being for so many years. Before I understood, no one else saw him except me. Many have seen him through my work when they have called on his assistance in healing. Many have heard the music that he plays, the shake of his rattle, the beating of his drum, and the beautiful flute music that he would soothe me with. And so out of my greatest pain, I stayed connected to Spirit. And they have shown me, proven to me time after time after time, their love is never ending, and their judgment is non-existent. So I'm going to end this with the awareness. Who knows what will happen? I will continue to be who I am, and you always have a choice. Do you follow to hear the advice of Peter and Mariah? It's up to you. I will not deceive you and say it does not take bravery to look deeply into your own self. And sometimes what's necessary in that journey is to forgive our own soul for ever choosing to be here and to be part of all of this evolution opportunity. No matter what happens, I will not allow fear, hate, and judgment of others to change who I am. May you be blessed. May you be loved. We all have a choice. Next time that my face is seen on this channel will be, I am now able to once again give permission for Mariah and Peter to share the many, many ways we can grow and evolve. Forgive ourselves our own darkness and walk into the light. And remember, we are the love we seek. We are the light we walk towards. It only requires willingness to own what we have chosen and to choose to be truly who we are rather than who we truly are not. So farewell, and God bless you on your journey. Whether or not you accept that blessing, it's your choice.